Well, okay, boys and girls, we're back in the ski shop again today, and what I want to talk about today is the new Dominator paste waxes. So, these things have changed my life, man. I'm not spending nearly so much time in the ski shop as I used to, doing all the hot waxing. So we're going to talk a little bit about these waxes here, and I'm going to do an application. Okay, this is the Elite line right here, and this Elite line, well, as it says, it's the Elite line. This is the fluoro-free race waxes. Okay, these come in at 120 bucks a jar at 100 grams, so that makes them 120 per gram. Okay, now if you're not racing, maybe you don't need this, or if you're not one of these people like me that just likes racing type glide as a recreational skier, well, anyway, we're going to break this down. We're going to break down the cost per application, because a lot of people are thinking like, what, $120 for a 100-gram jar of paste? Oh my god. Well, okay, so these come, obviously, as you can see, in 3 different formulas for new snow and old snow, and these are just like the hot waxes of the same, but in a paste. Now the FFC fluoro-free competition paste waxes come in 3 formulas, and you can see those temperatures there. That's the 19 and warmer. And they have a B, that's like the between, okay? And that is what? That's 20, what's it? Oh, I'm trying to read that thing. Anyway, you can see it. It's like 20, 25 or something to 10. We're talking snow temperatures. Then you have the cold, and the cold is for 19 degrees and warmer. I'm sorry, and colder. Oh my god. So anyway, these in the 400 gram containers, like you see here, it breaks down to 27 cents per gram. Okay, so you can see the difference. This one's $1.20 per gram. This one's 27 cents per gram. Okay, now in these containers, there's a circular non-abrasive fiber pad included in these jars. Now in these big cans, I found that there was no pad. So what I did was I just took some non-abrasive fiber pad like these, okay, and I just cut them up, from the bigger pieces. I get these at the race place. So here's, you just, anyway, so I cut up some of these little pads, and what I did was, because my scale is really small, I can't weigh this whole can anyway, and besides I want to dole some of this out for some friends in these small jars. So I put some in these little ball jars, which will seal up real nice and well, and then I don't have to constantly be opening the paint can at a 400 gram can. So this is small enough where it'll handle my scale. So what we're going to do here is we are going to I don't know if you can read all this, but if you pause the screen a while, let's see if I can get a more direct view, get a little shadow there. But you could possibly pause the screen and then sort of read this. It talks about the temperature ranges and how to apply it, and this is the FFC, obviously, as you can see. So what I'm going to do, for the sake of argument, is we're going to wax up two pairs of skis with this stuff. Okay, I'm going to do these atomic redsters. Okay, so that's your typical racing ski size of ski, and then I'm going to wax up these old Solomon Q98s. They call them a Q98, but it's actually 96 underfoot, but it's only wider from there. So what I'll do is I'll put some of these pastes on each of these, and then we'll weigh out how much we used, okay? So my first experience with this paste wax was like 14 years ago. I blasted out my knee. I did a complex tibial plateau fracture at the beginning of the season, and I could not wax skis for my wife. So I bought this stuff way back then, this Momentium, and this was, so they've been making paste waxes for a long time ago, okay? But now these new ones are super awesome. Anyway, and this one was good. So I had my wife use this paste wax, and she skied, she didn't ski a lot that season because she didn't have me to ski with, but she used this stuff, and at the end of her season, the bases looked terrific. She just put a little bit on every other day because she's only skiing, you know, 3 or 4 hours a day, actual run time. So anyway, I just want to say one thing. I've used these already, and with one layer of this on a base prep ski, I want to say I probably did easily 6 hours of actual ski time, and the bases still looked awesome. And I think one time I probably did more than that. I probably skied actual skiing time, running time of about 8 hours, and the bases still looked insane. But they say, you know, you want to put this on each night. But I'm telling you, if you're someone who's only actual ski time 3 or 4 hours on a day, I don't think doing 2 days is going to be a problem. I've done it myself. The bases still look terrific, but then you want to reapply. So the deal is, you do want to base prep your ski, okay? And occasionally, if you're using this stuff, like after you've used it for 20 or 30 times or something, you know, you're probably going to want to come back and base prep that ski again. Now, in this FCC, they also make a base prep. See, they talk about it right here. And that's slightly different instructions on how that works. But I did not get the base prep paste because I base prep with things like this. Okay, this is the base renew, and this one is without graphite. I'd actually recommend the one with graphite a little bit more, but for the wetter snows, I like this one. And this is the other base prep wax that I use that is actually the FCC line, okay, of hot wax. So anyway, even if you didn't have an iron to use this or this, okay, you could get the paste prep wax, and so that would be a good idea. So anyway, yeah, I'm talking a lot and I'm trying to make sense here, but anyway, you don't need the dang iron. Oh my God, you don't need to put 7 to 10 grams of wax on your ski and let it solidify for several hours and scrape it off and all that stuff. And so there's a lot of waste in that. But with the paste, there's like almost zero waste. So the paste, no waste. Okay, so I think I've said enough, but well, okay, so anyway, the lines of these waxes are, as you see here, is the Elite. Okay, let me see if I can get this paper up here. The Elite at 120 per 100 grams, 120 a gram. The FFC is 27 cents a gram at the 400 gram container. Now, if you buy the 100 gram container, it's going to cost you more than that, okay? But it's kind of a no-brainer when you look at the prices. Buy the 400 gram cans. Floater, that's a special fluoro-free wax for, well, they say it makes you float on powder, and that's $1.25. I'm sorry, $1.25 per gram. Only comes in 40 gram containers for 50 bucks. And the Legacy, okay, Legacy contains a C6 fluoro. So you even have a fluoro wax in the Legacy formula. Now, if you're not racing World Cup or something where they're banning the fluoros, but you still like how fluoro really helps keep the base of your ski clean, especially in the spring and in the dirt, then you might want to get that Legacy. And because it does contain the C6 fluoro, which is not persistent in the environment like the old C8s, anyway, it's still expensive. So that's your most expensive one at $1.30 a gram. And then they make the Psycho Paste, which is super hard wax for 7 degrees of snow temperature or lower, and that's coming in at 0.325 cents per gram. And that's, I believe, yeah, that's a 400 gram container at 130 bucks. So let's break down some, let's put some on. It's not that hard to do, but I'll show you anyway. And then what we're going to do is break down how much did it cost me to do the application. Okay, catch you in a while. Okay, gonna go with the race skis first. And these Atomic Redsters, I waxed them last year. I mean, I base prepped the dickens out of these things, so, but I never put storage wax on them. So what wax is on the surface is, you know, dried up. So we need to brush it out. The deal is, though, before you apply your paste, you're always going to brush the ski out anyway, okay? And if it was really dirty spring snow, or you picked up some pitch or grease, or, you know, if you thought the base had dirt in there more than just a brushing is going to fix up, what I like is this Swix Glide Wax Cleaner, okay? It's not a remover. You follow the directions. It just kind of softens up the wax on the top layer where the dirt and grime and grease would be, and if you follow the directions, it allows you to clean that all off of there, but it does not take the wax out of the base, okay? This stuff is awesome, okay? So, Swix Glide Wax Cleaner. Okay, so here we go. We're going to brush it out. I think first I'm going to use this stainless steel oval, and probably be able to see the sheen on the base change. I'm not going to do a close-up, so whatever you see in the camera is what you're going to see. So we're just going to give it a few strokes with this stainless steel. It's not a real stiff stainless steel. I think it's a medium, whatever. Anyway, beast brush. Any of you guys that have watched my videos, you've seen me use these beast brushes. Been using them for years. They're super awesome. Okay, so a few strokes with the steel. And then I'm going to hit it with this brass. It's got a couple different brass brushes. You know, people talk about a brush that's really broken in. Okay? This one here, this one's really broken in, okay? And they work differently, because this one's, you know, been mushed out. So now this one's newer, so it gets right more down into the nooks and crannies. Eventually I'll buy another one, but I'll never throw it away, because they serve slightly different purposes. This one will actually buff more of the top. But anyway, I'll use this one, and always use a shop vac and vacuum your brushes out after you got them clogged up with wax. Yeah, I'm seeing it's looking better for sure. I'm getting a little more sheen for sure, even though we're not seeing any powder or anything. But this is doing just fine. We're just kind of breaking loose and taking off the oxidized layer of wax that was there. If you had storage wax, well, obviously you'd scrape and brush before you applied this paste, okay? So there's one. I guess I'm not going to show you the other one, but I am going to do the other one. So I will shut down. Oh yeah, you can really see the difference between these two. See, the one I brushed and the one I haven't brushed. Hope you're getting some semblance of that anyway. So yeah, big difference when you brush off that oxidized wax off the top. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, I got them both brushed out. And you, like I say, you always want to brush these things out and make sure the base is clean before you put your paste on. Now, I weighed this. I'm not going to show you that I weighed it, okay? But there's the pad. It's in there. And here's the stuff inside, and here's the pad. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I weighed this. And I weighed it, and it came to 162.8. 162.8 grams. So now I'm going to apply the stuff like I would apply it. Then we'll weigh this again. And that'll tell us how much we used. So $1.20 a gram. Okay. It's real easy to over apply this stuff. And you only need a real thin layer. Okay. So the first time you use it, your pad hasn't been, like, shall we say, loaded up yet. It can be real easy to apply too much, you know. And maybe that first time you use it, you might apply too much. Now I like to just put it down in a linear fashion. Now if you got more in one area, just kind of press the pad a little harder and drag it on down. Okay? And as you put it on, you're seeing the reflection. You know where you got it and where you don't. Make sure you really pay attention to your edges. You know, make sure that you're getting the wax all the way up to the edges, because that's really where we work the ski, right? Right at the interface of the PTEX and metal edge. Okay? So just take your time, and remember, thin layer. As you can see here, this is not a thick layer. Now I can see where I don't really have it on there. I'm going to turn my pad a little bit, get it to where there's a more packed up with wax in that pad. I'm going to press a little bit to get it coming out. Good. Okay, so that's working good. So be sure you get, you know, concentrate on getting really full coverage. Now, could you go in little circles? Sure you could. If you want to go in little circles, go in little circles. But this is the deal. If you're going in little circles and you go over the edge of the ski and then you swipe back, you are going to scrape a bunch of the paste off on the side. Which, you know, not the end of the world, but look, we're trying not to waste any that we don't need to waste. You're always going to get a teeny bit on the edges if you do it properly, because you're trying to get all the way to the edges. Now, the wonderful thing about this is, now these are cap skis, so I really don't have to do this, but one cool thing about this paste is super awesome for putting on the sidewalls of your skis, because you don't need an iron. But even though this is a cap, still what I could do to make this even smoother and, you know, better and all that is I could take this paste and just go ahead and rub a little bit of it on the sidewall of the ski. Okay? And then when you're done, obviously you don't brush the sidewall, but you buff it out. So, for the sake of argument, you know, and I will be laying these things down, so, hey, every little bit makes a difference. So let's go ahead and let's rub a little bit on each of the sidewalls of these cap ski redsters. I think the next gen of redsters they came out with have full sidewalls. And like I say, you know, I can see it with my eye that I'm getting some in there, and if I'm not seeing it, I'm turning the pad a little bit to where I'm getting some coming out. Okay, so there's the good enough for the sidewalls. Okay, so I like to wear these rubber gloves, and you see, you know, when I'm working with these pastes and whatnot, you're gonna get that stuff on your fingers. Now, I say, you know, if you don't have the gloves, can you still do it? Yeah, but you're gonna get all goopy. Okay, and you know, then you got to wash your hands. And you know, you can do this on the mountain, but it takes 30 minutes of set time. Okay, so now this ski's got to sit for 30 minutes. Now it's dry as a bone here where I live in the high desert. Maybe I could only wait 20 minutes, but I say let it wait 30 minutes. You can let it wait longer for sure. So I'll probably end up waiting about 40 minutes before I'm done with all this. So anyway, okay, here we go. We're going to do the other ski. Now be careful when you're padding up here, because see now, I got just a whole gob of it on one side of this pad. Don't know if you can see, but I can't always tell in this little screen anyway, but I'm going to wipe that back into the jar a little bit, because it's really easy to over apply this stuff. Now you want a good layer, yeah, for sure. And again, if you don't see it really coming out or releasing, just press down on your fiber pad a little harder, and that will start oozing out what's in that pad. Okay, so you can see here, I believe I got a good layer. I got plenty. Okay, again, concentrating, making sure I'm getting this layer of paste all the way up to the edges. Don't want any voids. And you definitely want to make sure you get it all the way up to the edges very well. Not just the center. So, feel like my paste is getting a little lighter up here. Now I just squished my pad. I just sort of squished it and boom. I got a whole bunch more paste flowing out of that thing. So, takes a little practice, like anything else. The first time you do this, you might go overboard by accident, but once you've done it a few times, then you'll figure it out. Okay, so full on GS race skis. So there we go. We've made the application. Did I do the sidewalls? I don't think I did the sidewalls here. So we're going to do the sidewalls at 2, and I've already, pretty much, it's not going to take much. There's nothing really there to scrape off, but I'm just going to go ahead and put the paste on the sidewalls. You could even put this paste, of course this Redster's got all that rack on the top, but if you had a ski that just had a smooth top sheet, and you don't like all that snow piling up on the top of your ski, this stuff works really good for that as well. And sometimes if you're riding park or something like that, and it's a day where the snow is sticking on the top of your skis more than you'd like, that can add swing weight, extra weight to your skis. So it's not a bad trick to do your top sheet with this stuff, and you'll get a lot less stickage. You get a lot less stickage for sure of the snow on the top sheet. And another thing that I found that I use this paste wax for, which I found was super awesome. Now what I'm going to put the lid on, but my fingers are all goopy. So what I like to do is make sure I have an ungooped finger. Because otherwise you start getting that crap all over your lid and everything. It just makes it harder to do business. So I try to keep the outside of the can as clean as I can. Now, unfortunately, these first jars he came out with, the threads are not that great. I mean, on some of them they've screwed on perfectly square and straight, but on other ones I've kind of had to battle them a little bit. Yeah, see, this one's coming off kilter. But anyway, I complained about that, and he said, oh yeah, he said, we noticed that in these jars, and we're getting new jars. We're not going to settle for that. We don't want any complaints. So I believe the new jar he's using is a metal jar that doesn't even have threads. It just pushes down on the top, and that seals it. You don't want to let these paste waxes, be open to the air, because the solvent will evaporate and it will change the consistency. Okay, so, oh wait, I got to take the lid off because I didn't weigh it with the lid. I weighed it without the lid. So now I'm going to start up the scale. $1.20 a gram. We'll see what this thing weighs now. Okay, I came in at 162.8 when I started, and I am now at 159.5. So I'm going to write this down because then I'm going to go do the math. 159. 159.5. So 9661. So it's looking like I used right around 3 grams. So that would be $1.20 times 3. 46. That'd be what, like $3.60 if I'm. Anyway, my head math's not good. Let me tell you, I didn't win any awards in school for math. Not a one. So anyway, when you consider the performance of this stuff, and I'm telling you what, man, I am stoked with this Elite paste. It's all I've used this season now, and I haven't even fired an iron up yet until I base prep base again. But man, the performance is out of this world. The glide is insane. Even if you're slightly out of range of the snow temp, I'm telling you what. But what's really cool about this is, let's say you were racing one in the morning and one in the afternoon. If you had that time, if you had that 30 minutes to let it set up, and that 5 minutes to put it on, 30 minutes to let it set up, another 5 minutes to brush it out, and then your afternoon run, as snow temperatures change, boy, it can make a big difference. So that is a huge bonus. So okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out this. There may be different densities in these things, I don't know, but I'm going to get this between formula of the FFC fluoro-free competition that I put in this little jar, and that's good from snow temperatures of 25 to 10. So we're going to put that on the fat skis, on the Q98s, and we're going to weigh it all out again. Okay, catch you in a little bit. Stand by. Okay, got the Q98s all brushed out, and got the fluoro-free competition with the little pad in here, and I pushed a little bit of it into the pad to get it prepared. Gonna weigh this. Now, these being way wider than the race skis and almost as long, obviously these are going to take more wax. These are the wife's skis, and I like her to have optimal glide for sure, but she really doesn't need the racy wax, okay? But this FFC, this fluoro-free competition, is still really good. And at 27 cents a gram, if you buy the 400 jar, you know, you can be a little more liberal with this, but you don't need to. But one reason I think that these are also going to take more is these have been used a lot. There's a lot of scratches in the bases. Now, I've scraped off all the highs from all these scratches that have happened over time, but most of the scratches are linear, and there's a couple scratches that are just going a little bit on an angle. And actually, those scratches add to the structure and probably make the ski run even better when the ski's a little on a wetter snow. So I don't sweat the small stuff, you know. You fix a ski when it's got a core or when it's got a really bad spot next to it. I mean, there's times to fix it and there's times not to sweat it. But anyway, so we're going for the weigh-in. Coming over to the scale. We're going to weigh in this jar. FFC. Between, I got 183.1. Okay. 183.1 gram. 183.1 gram to start. Okay, so a really, really small pad, not the big circular pad, but hey, you know, still shouldn't take all that long. Gonna go ahead and just, while it's thicker on the pad, work it around down a little bit and then start going toward the edges. Oh yeah, we're just pressing a little bit more on that pad, and then suddenly balls of it are being ejected and coming out. Paying attention, making sure I'm getting all the way to those edges. I want that wax definitely to the edges. Don't neglect. Okay, looking pretty good there. Feeling pretty good right there. I think I'm going to give it just another little dip. These are big skis. And again, This one's only 27 cents a gram at the 400 gram container. So, got quite a bit here. I'm just going to keep trying to draw it down. You know, I guess a guy could even use like a little piece of rubber squeegee or something to move this stuff around. I haven't tried that, but I could see where that could work. Like if you got it a little thicker here and the pad doesn't move it as well, I bet you could take a little teeny piece of squeegee or something and move this stuff. Move it down a little bit. Oh, I'm still getting plenty though. Okay, so anyway, again, fluoro-free competition, 27 cents a gram. Oh yeah, and did I tell you guys, I rubbed this stuff on the inside of my snowblower this season. Oh my God. I mean, people talk about spraying Pam in there, Pam cooking spray in their snow blowers, and I've actually rubbed on Dominator Graphite Zoom in my snow blowers before, but rubbing that hard wax in there and really trying to get all the surfaces covered, I mean, it was pretty easy on the chute, the exit chute, to get it rubbed in there. Anyway, I put this paste wax inside my snowblower. Oh my God. Super stoked. And you know, another good place where you could use this paste wax is, have you got satellite TV? You know, and you live where it snows, and then that snow all packs up inside your dish, and you got to go out and get the snow out of it so it'll work again. If you put this inside that dish and then buff it out, well, when you go to tap it, that snow just gonna fall right out of there. So there's a lot of cool uses for this stuff. A lot of cool uses. Okay, now probably don't need to show you this, but I'm just gonna do it. Not gonna cut. This way, maybe people might think I'm fibbing. Oh, I just got a whole blob on there. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of slowly let it come down the ski. There we go. You don't necessarily have to get to the edges right away, you know. You can go ahead and just, like right now I'm just kind of staying toward the middle and just trying to move the stuff around. Okay, looking good, looking good. Yeah, you got to have some reflection. Move your head where it needs to be. I mean, reflections are everything, and that'll tell you you don't have a void and you're getting it right up to the edges. Anyway, like I say, if a ski's got more scratches in it, well, the paste is going to build up in those scratches, and it's going to take a little bit more material to get the job done. But again, this FFC is very economical. And the other thing I don't know if I mentioned, probably should have mentioned this already, one thing about the Dominator paste waxes is they all come with the anti-static component in them. So the anti-static component is going to be a little different in the elite formulas in the old snow and the new snow. But in this FFC, I couldn't tell you for factual, but I imagine the FFC's probably got pretty much the same anti-static ingredient in all of them. But I don't know for a fact. But anyway, they're all darkly colored, gray and sort of blacky like that, you know. And that's because you're graphite, you know. And Dominator, they mill that graphite so damn fine that actually a particle of it, you can't see it with your bare eye. You'd have to have a microscope to actually see it. But if you've ever waxed your ski with Dominator Graphite Zoom or used the base renew with graphite or any of that stuff, you'll see little spots of that graphite. Oh, I got away. You'll see little spots of that graphite in there. and you think that little spot is a particle, well, that little spot is probably like hundreds of particles, okay? So, okay, here we go. We're going to do the after way of doing those two big fat skis. I didn't do sidewalls on these skis because my wife can't lay a ski over anyway, so she doesn't need that. Okay, I got 181.3. 181.3. So if I take the points off, I only use like 2 grams. Holy moly. Seems like I only just barely used 2 grams right there to do these fat skis. And that right there, that means it'd be like 27 cents times 2. Oh my God. No waste. There's no waste with the paste. Okay, we're going to let both the skis sit for 30 minutes. Actually, I'll come back in 40 minutes or an hour. You can let it sit longer. Doesn't matter. But your minimum, the minimum recommended set time for the paste waxes is 30 minutes. Okay? So, and there's good reasons for that. So, I guess if you were in a real big ass hurry, you could do it in 20 minutes. And I'm not sure if you're in a really humid area, I would only imagine it would take longer. So if you were doing this out on the hill at lunchtime or something like that, and you were outside, you might want to wait longer than 30 minutes, you know, depending on how the air is where you are. You probably don't want to do it while it's actually snowing on you, you know, so you'd want a dry place anyway, you know. If a guy had a van, he could do it in the back of a van. A lot of the kids that race in MBSEF, where I ski up at Bachelor, they can go down to their lodge, into their room, and they can adjust their stuff there. So, okay, boys and girls, I'm going to do a little math. We'll come back with some conclusions, and then we will show very quickly. It's pretty simple, but still, I want to show you how I buff off these and get them ready to actually ski. Okay, catch you in a little bit. Okay, I'm back. I've done the math, so I want to talk a little bit about that. So, I was kind of surprised after I used 3.3 grams on the red stirs. I might have gone a little bit overboard on the red stirs because it was interesting. The Q98s, I only used 1.8 grams. Okay? So, anyway, if I'm using the Elite, and let's say I did use 3.3 grams each time. If I use 3.3 grams, that means the application cost was $3.96. So, almost $4 per application on the amount that I applied there. Maybe I didn't need to apply it that thick. But so anyway, if I only use 3 grams, I would get 33 applications. But at 3.3 grams, that's 30 applications. So out of that 100-gram jar of the Elite waxes, you should get about 30 applications. So that's 30 pairs of skis. You should get right around there. Okay, you might get more, you might get less. Okay. Again, maybe I'd put it on a little thicker than I needed to, because it sure seemed that the 1.8 grams that I put on with the FFC, that it seemed like I put plenty on there, but yet it only came out to 1.8 grams versus the 3.3 with the Elite on the red stirs. So, at any rate, if you buy the 400-gram can, which I suggest, because the cost, it's a no-brainer if you look at the difference in price between a 100-gram can and a 400-gram can. At 400 grams, it's 0.27 cents. It's 27 cents per gram. So I used 1.8 grams, and that equaled the application for those skis cost me 48.6 cents. So a little over 48.5 cents for the application. And at 400 grams, if I broke that down at a 1.8 level, that came to 222 pairs of skis that could be done. So obviously your results may vary. Even if it was 2 grams instead of 1.8, you'd still be looking at like 200 applications, 200 pairs of skis out of a 400 gram can. So if we just extrapolated, you know, from there, let's just say you only needed 2 grams for a set of skis. That means the floater, which is your powder wax, backcountry powder wax, you know, for completely ungroomed snow, that he says you'll really float better even on that, despite the width of your skis. I haven't experienced it, but I believe the guy because everything else I've heard is true. And anyway, that is also fluoro-free at $50 for 40 grams. So your application rate on floater, if you use 2 grams, would be $2.50. Okay, yeah, it doesn't take a genius. So if you use 2 grams of the Legacy, which is your fluoro wax, which you're not going to be able to use in FIS competition and others that are banning fluoro, but if you'd like the glide and the cleanliness, anyway, so $2.60 per application. Okay, and same thing probably goes if you're only, well, actually, if you were only using 2 grams out of 100 grams, you'd get a lot more than 30 applications. I didn't figure that out, but you can figure it out, I guess, if you're smart based on what I'm saying. So if you took the 100 grams and divided it, you know, 2 grams, anyway, yeah, so I think you'd find out you'd get closer to 50 apps. Okay, and the Psycho paste, you get in a 400 gram container. That comes to 32.5 cents per gram, and that's for your 7 degree and lower snows at 130 for the 400 grams. So that costs you 65 cents per application for the Psycho. Now, one thing I got to say about these paste waxes, when you're getting into those really hard waxes, okay, like the FFC cold, I mean, that stuff is hard as a brick, man. And the other thing is this Elite, same thing. If you go and you get into the harder forms of the Elite, which would be the number 1, if you did use the Elite New Snow number 1, I mean, this wax is harder than a horse heart. And you do got to crank the iron up. You're looking at cranking that iron up probably pretty close, well, over 200 for sure. And I believe he says max iron temperature here is, with all his stuff, it looks like it's at, man, I'm having a hard time reading that, but might say, well, generally he said 120C, which is 250, you know, 250 degrees. Well, the thing is, when you're going that hot, it's not, you know, if you're not careful, you can damage your ski. Okay, so the thing about the paste waxes is you got the equivalent hardness of the hardest wax, but you didn't have to use any heat at all. Okay, is that jiving with y'all? So imagine you could use that Psycho paste if you were skiing in Psycho land with snow temperatures of 7 degree or lower, which I'm never going to probably be doing, but if you were, I mean, you could use that in the paste form instead of using the Psycho powder or whatever, and, you know, using a 250 degree, you know, anyway, yeah. So the one thing about these pastes, and some of the people are starting to be more believers of not heating that ski up so much. Now, I do hot boxing when I do base prep, and I like that because I only need to bring the hot box up to about 135 or so to get those base prep waxes to really soak in well, and I'll cycle it like 3 times. In other words, I'll let it heat and then I'll let it cool. Then I'll let it heat and I'll let it cool, and I'll let it heat and I'll let it cool. Then I'm done. But what I like about that hot box is it's not just heating one side of the ski with the iron. Although with base prep wax you don't need a hot iron anyway. But I mean, I'm just saying, I like the hot box because it heats the entire ski, both sides, so it doesn't uncamber or pull on the adhesives. Everything goes the same. So, but you can take it or leave it. You don't need a damn hot box. But the base renew waxes and the FFC base prep wax, those are the bomb. And you don't need a super hot iron. So if you can't base prep with an iron, you know, once every 20 or 30 days when you're using this paste, then get the base prep paste wax, the FFC base prep paste wax, and use that. So that being said, I guess it is possible to entirely treat your ski and glide it out without ever using an iron at all. So, oh, and the other thing I didn't say, all his paste waxes are safe for air travel. So you can put them in your damn suitcase and you can take them air travel with them, no problem. Okay? So, all right. I will come back and finish these skis off in a little bit. We'll show the finish off of what you need to do. And then again, all I can tell you is I just can't even believe the performance I've been getting from these Elite paste waxes. And the FFC paste, I'm sure, is equally awesome. I'll be testing it myself here shortly. And but I did use the FFC, these FFC waxes last year. I used these. I had the regular and the cold. 19. Oh my God. Everything's backwards in the lens I'm looking at. Okay, 19 and colder. Snow temps 19 degrees and colder. Snow temps 19 degrees and warmer. This one is hard as a whore's heart. You got to crank the iron up. This one is not so hard. You don't have to crank the iron up so hard. But as you can see, both these have been used, and I was really impressed with the performance for a you know, not fluorinated wax and a simple system. It does not have the hydropel, which is the patented ingredients in it, in the polymers of silicones that this guy came up with to put in the Elite waxes to act like fluoros, but aren't fluoros. And some people are saying they're even better because evidently, you know, I don't know for a fact, but like, you know, the more fluoro you get, fluoro waxes have a high internal friction. So I'm not going to go to town trying to explain all this to you guys, but so if you don't need fluoro waxes on dry snow, they'll slow you down because it has a higher internal friction to it. The hydropel additives that he uses for the fluoro-free Elite waxes, I don't know. They may not have a high internal friction whatsoever, so maybe that's why people are being so stoked on them. Okay? All I know is I tested that Elite hot waxes last year too, and I could not believe. I could not believe. They were so awesome. I ran one of them, I think 6 days or something. I got videos back on those where I look at the base after I skied it 6 days. But in reality, I probably am only skiing 3.5 to 4 hours of actual on-snow time. But still, if you multiplied that by 6 days, you could see where I got to the figure where I said, hey, this stuff, this paste, or this wax, anyway, no, the hot wax, I mean, I don't know how long that's, I couldn't wear it out. I only finally got a little dry on the edges. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. I digress. Okay, we'll see you back in a while, and I'll show you how you finish off the paste after you put it on. I've been hot waxing skis for over 20 years, and this stuff, I'm sold. So I'll be back and show you how the rest goes. Because sometimes, I mean, I ain't getting any younger. I want a little other time in my life to do other things instead of being out here in the ski shop. And no waste, man. So like when I'm using these Elite waxes, I mean, yeah, I'm using the minimal amount, but I'm using easily 7 grams of wax to do a pair, and that's being super, super, because I've tested the deal. I got another video about how much wax it takes to wax a pair of skis, and I just used the graphite zoom that wasn't expensive, and I put it on there liberally, and it was like 7 to 10 grams per ski. Okay, so that's like 20 grams of wax. Well, as you can see by what I did here, it's like so minimal, and there's no waste, and you're not out here scraping all that wax off. And you know, you really don't want to recycle scrapings. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but what happens is, and I've melted wax back down before, but when you scrape that ski, inevitably, you know, you get minute amounts of PTEX come with that, assuming you got a nice sharp scraper and all. Anyway, and then that gets in with the wax, and then anyway, you try to wax with it, and yeah, it's a damn mess. It's a damn mess. So anyway, I don't remelt wax. I've remelted some and gave it to some other kids to use as a rub-on, and they liked it, man. They said it kicked ass. I just had all kinds of mixes of all waxes, you know. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. I don't do that. So anyway, when you use that hot wax, yeah, it worked great. It's super good. It's long lasting, but there's a lot of waste. And with the paste, there is no waste. I mean, almost zero waste. All right, catch you up for the finishing, and I think that'll be it. Thanks for hanging in there, guys, but we're not done yet. I'll show you how easy it is to finish it and make it ready to ski. And I'll catch you then. Well, okay, we've let the skis sit, I do believe, long enough to where the stuff's dried up. I did notice when I pulled this out that I had a little clump of that stuff I didn't notice. It's down here somewhere. And where I had that little clump hadn't really dried out completely. So that's going to give it a different look if I don't let that completely dry right there. So let's do the other one first. Yeah, just go show. I guess when you're done, maybe take a quick look, make sure you don't see this one. Looks like I got another little spot right there what was a little thicker. That looks okay though. So anyway, yeah, you got to let it all dry up really good. Okay, so now this is what the man says to do, is take and buff it out now with a cork, or you can use like a white fiber pad, non-abrasive again, or you could use this Fiberline. I haven't done it with Fiberline yet, but if I was going to do the Fiberline, I guess you could just kind of roll it up and wipe it with your hand like that. Yeah, you could just do it with your hand like that, I guess. You feel it gets a little grabby where the stuff's on there before you buff it off. So what I like to do is take a fiber pad, put it on there. I have a square file, I back it up with the file, and then I buff like this, see? And that works real good. And then eventually this gets all impacted with wax. You can kind of knock some of it out to a degree, but what's in there, it's just the black look is because of the anti-static component and all that. But anyway, I guess, you know, I've got plenty of Fiberline, so let's try something different. So let's take the Fiberline and let's wrap it around this piece of fiber pad. There we go. Now we got a sandwich there, or a burrito. Okay, we're going to lay that down. We're going to put the file on it, and we're going to start going to town. And don't press necessarily too hard right away. You're just kind of trying to pick it up. Now I can see now where those thicker spots were. That didn't cure all the way. Yeah, so when he says a thin layer, he ain't lying, Brian. Thin layer is all you need. And if you have a little thick spot, you're going to have to let it sit longer. For sure. Because now I'm running into this spot that was wetter. Seems to be picking it up kind of now. But I can definitely see the difference. So if I had this burrito, see, all rolled up, then I could take some of that off and use a fresh piece again, or take the back side of this one. I don't know. You can do whatever. You can rotocork this. You can cork it. Whatever you like. I remember the old Momentium said you take a nylon stocking Like get the wife's old nylon stockings. I guess not too many ladies wear those, and you could buff it out with that too. But anyway, I'm just going to go back to what I like, and that's just the fiber pad solo. And you don't have to press super hard. You don't have to go to town all day here. Just kind of go over it till she starts looking a little shinier. You're catching the peaks, catching the top. Just kind of buffing it out. And that's about all I've ever done, about that much, okay? And then you can take whatever brushes you want, but he says brush them aggressively. So brush it aggressively isn't necessarily how aggressively you brush, but what kind of brushes you use. So I'm going to use this stainless again and make a couple passes with this. And what we want to do is absolutely open up all that structure. Oh yeah, I can see some dust. See there, see that dust? Can you see the dust? I don't know where we're at in the shiny spot. Let's bring the dust back a little further. Okay, there's the dust. So this is the dust just like you get in any wax. You know, the harder waxes you see a little dustier, the softer waxes are a little gummier. That's their wax dust right there. So I'll go ahead and give it a few passes with the soft stainless. And then I'll go ahead to another brush and finish it. And just for kicks, we'll use this super worn out brass one now. See? It's not going to go as deep, but it'll be okay. She's polishing up pretty good looking now. Now she's starting to shine, like, you know, when you wax that car and then you buff that wax off. Like wax on, wax off. She's looking pretty good. Oh yeah. Got structure really coming out now. Okay, now I'm going to take this sharper brass one that's not so worn out. We'll give it a couple passes. That'll get it down into, really down into that structure much better. But you know, you see there's not, you don't need to, you know, go crazy. Now, on these ones I did do the edges. Remember that? I put wax on the sidewalls. So what I'm going to do is take a sort of wax impacted old non-abrasive fiber pad, and I'm going to just work those sidewalls. Oh yeah, I can feel it, I can see it where I'm buffing it off. And you probably want to, in this case, you probably want to buff pretty good right here. And you'll get a little bit of that paste to roll over and get on the side edges, so you kind of want to clean that up too anyway. Oh yeah, I feel it getting slicker now. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's a schlicky. That's a schlicken leader right there, baby. I'll tell you what. That's a schlicken leader. Nothing like sidewalls that are all polished off real nice. Especially on them sandwich skis. When you really lay that ski over it, I mean over in some softer snow, that sidewall, it gets in there. And every little bit that you can reduce that friction and drag, well, when you roll that ski over and get this sucker down in the snow, now that I put that paste on there, she ain't going to drag too much. She's going to haul the rails right there. Oh yeah. Yeah, I still can see that little buildup from it there. So yeah, okay. Yeah, you got to buff it pretty good there for reals, because we're not brushing the sidewall, you know. Oh yeah, it's coming around now. Yeah, this stuff's got great adhesion on this cap sidewall. Yeah. Yes, it does. So yeah, okay, so buffing that sidewall on the cap ski or whatever, because you didn't brush it anyway, yeah. Don't be afraid to buff the crap out of that. Alright, I'm stoked with that, okay? Look at the ski now. Let's see if we can see any reflections. Look at that. Look at that. Let's see. Oh, I got dust all over it. I got the damn dust all over it. Okay, so we're going to clean the dust. Yeah, we don't like the damn dust. We don't like to leave the damn dust. We like it all clean. Let's see what the heck this camera can do. Let's see if I can get the right angle on the jangle. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my God, these, I know the redster is gonna rip. She's gonna be a ripping redster on that old snow. What the hell did I say I put on there? Old Snow 2, I think. That was Old Snow 2 paste. So this one I won't worry about it right now. We'll set it up there with the other one. And just for grins, we'll finish off one of the fatties that I put on the FFC B. Pretty sure I did put on, yeah, I put on the FFC B, which is the between 25 to 10 degrees of snow temp. And we're going to do the same thing. Of course, this pad just barely covered the whole width of this ski, so there's going to be some back and forth action here for sure. Now, initially I can definitely feel it grabbing at the pace. We're just going to go easy. No need to press too hard at first. I can see now doing this where you know, I built the layer up a little bit thicker. You know, maybe than it needed to be. That I actually used less material on the FFC to do these fat skis. And you know, the stuff, you know, obviously it probably's got slightly different densities to it, so you know, it's like gold. The same size piece of gold is going to weigh a lot more than the same size piece of tin. So, you know, there could be some density things there. I mean, we're not going to get all scientific about it, but still, I only used 1.8 grams to do this fat pair of skis with the FFC fluoro-free competition paste. And that ended up costing me 48.6 cents. So now I'm going to flip the fiber pad. Less than 50 cent wax job. And no waste. No haste, no waste. Okay, feeling pretty good about this. Of course, this ski's old. She's got some lower spots in it. Never had a base grind. You know, never base ground it trying to flatten it out or anything. So it's got those few pockets. It's got a few irregularities, but that should all brush out. So we're good there. That was enough of the buff. Yeah, I mean, if you want to roto it, yeah, go ahead. But, you know, I'm sure you don't need to. So again, I'm going to start with the stainless. And we're going to brush aggressively. We're never pressing too hard with our brushes. It's just the tips that do the work. Let the brush do the work. Don't press too hard. I mean, just hard enough, you know. Just hard enough. It's coming in real. Oh, yeah, I got the dust. I got the dust. I got the dust. Got the wax dust. Okay. Boy, that's so nice not having to scrape the ski and fire up the iron and all that stuff. I think I'm just going to go straight to this not so used brass brush now. Okay. And that'll be it. So we really just want to open up that structure. Now I imagine if you use the cold paste, because it is harder, yeah, you'd probably brush a little bit longer. But at the same time, actually, when you think about it, if you're skiing really dry, hard, really dry snow, you don't need all that structure. You actually want the ski smoother. So I would venture even to say, if you knew that you were just going to ski on powder, really cold, fresh snow on this, that you might not even want to brush it out so hard. You'd probably be fine, assuming that the wax was hard enough, you know, to prevent the crystals from digging in. And since the FFC cold, I mean, it runs way down low, you know. Now it says 19 or colder, but if you look at the chart, he claims that hardness will take you down to pretty damn cold. So anyway, you can take it either way. But anyway, you know how it is. If the more structure is for wet snows, and the less structure is better for your dry, cold snows. So, there we go. That was it. Oh my God, not having to scrape. Holy crap, and waste all that wax. Look at that now. Let's look at this one with the FFC. Oh my God. Look at those reflections. The FFC fluoro-free competition paste. Okay. Like I say, don't forget, this stuff is awesome to put on your satellite dishes to keep the snow from sticking to it so bad. Super awesome for your snow blowers on the inside. And I don't know what other uses you might find for it. Again, on this particular skis, see, this has a nice flat top sheet. She's a little chipped up. She's old. She's probably at least 7-year-old ski. But anyway, if I was to take and put a little layer of paste wax on top of this puppy, well, it would really help the snow from sticking on this. Now, the other thing I did the other day when I did this that I didn't talk about either was I went ahead and put the paste on the AFDs, the anti-friction devices, at the heel and the toe, and I paste waxed those. And that certainly cannot hurt anything, and it prevented the snow from sticking on them so bad. And I know now you're really going to think I'm nuts, because I am kind of nuts. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my ski boots. They're a hard sole boot, and they don't have a lot of, you know, they got very minimal, you know, etching in the bottom of them to give you a little traction. But I don't like the way the damn snow sticks to them so bad. And I'm not afraid to roller skate. So what I am going to do, I'm not going to show you guys this, but I'm going to take a wire brush, like not the ones I use on my ski necessarily, but like something like this. And I'm going to clean off all that hatching in the bottom of the boot. I'm talking about a Solomon boot. I forget what it is, but it's one of their newer boots. Hard shell boot, you know. You can't change the soles in them anyway. They're for high performance. Anyway, I'm going to brush out the bottom of that damn boot, and I'm going to paste wax the bottom of that damn boot, and then I'm going to brush it all out again, just like you would your ski. And I bet you, man, I'm going to have way less snow sticking to the damn bottom of my boot when I go to put my damn skis on, or if I drop a ski on the mountain. You know, yeah, I've been skiing for umpteen years. I don't fall too often, but when I do, I like to be able to get my boot back on or my ski back on and not have it all impacted. But just the thing from walking across the parking lot, you know, and getting up on the snow and putting your skis on that first time, you know, people that use poles, they're whacking them with their pole and all that, and I don't use poles, so I just kind of scrape back and forth across my bindings with my boot and kind of tap down, pat down on it. You know, the bindings are pretty durable, and generally that works pretty good. But yeah, getting a little less friction on the anti-friction devices with the paste wax and waxing the bottom of your boots. It might sound crazy, but I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going for it. I've done the rub-on wax on the bottom of the boots, and it's helped. But because it's so textured and all that, it's hard to get it all in there and really buff it in. I think this paste wax on the bottom of the boot is going to be the bomb. So, all right, I think enough said, you guys. Once again, the performance of this product, I mean, I've been doing all this hot waxing for years. I got all the fanciest damn waxes that you can imagine, okay, from Dominator. I mean, I got the most expensive stuff, the high fluoros, the super SRB solid rocket boosters, and I got the Race Zoom old snows, and I mean, I got all that stuff. I've been doing this stuff a long time, but you know, the butter, all that stuff. And anyway, I've been skiing this elite formula of paste wax. I've not fired up the iron yet this season. Got about 20 days because the weather's just been horrible here. The Pineapple Express came in, and I mean to tell you, the weather's been crap at Bachelor. So I didn't go skiing for a long time. It was at least over a couple of weeks. But I'll tell you what, based on my experience, prior experience, I'm telling you that elite fluoro free, yeah, it's $1.20 a gram, but it don't cost that much an app. And with the less waste and the less time you got to spend in the shop, and with the fact that you could switch it up midday on the mountain or whatever, it's pretty hard to beat, man. And I'm totally sold. I'm totally convinced. If you guys have not tried this stuff out, you know, yeah, maybe you don't want a fork for the whole kit right now. And, you know, if you just bought the number 2, and if you were skiing somewhere really cold as shit, then you'd get the 1 and the 2. If you're skiing where it's not super cold all the time, kind of like where I'm at Bachelor, I could probably get away with just the 2 and the 3. Okay? So, anyway, I mean, I'm sorry, the 2 and the 3. The 1 being the hardest one. So I don't ski in conditions where I'm going to need the 1 too often. I did use it, and it worked great, because we had some mornings it was cold as shit. But what I'll do is, what I've been doing testing this stuff, is I took 2 pair of skis, and I set one up for the morning with the hard wax, the hard paste, and then I set one up for the afternoon with the warmer paste. And that worked great. I mean, it worked really good. Along with the combination of the warmer one, I used the stronger structure. But, yeah, try this stuff. If you don't believe me, it'll make a believer out of you, and you'll be so stoked that now all you got to do is come back and base prep your ski. Well, I don't know. It's up to you. After 20 apps of this stuff and 20 days of skiing, depending on how your base looks. But he'll kind of warn you. He says, yeah, if you just always use this and you didn't base prep your ski good, you're going to dry your base up. But I've honestly not seen it happen, not one iota. But I am definitely, after a certain amount of days, going to come back and do a base prep hot wax. But still, even then, that's no biggie. I can do that easy. I do it. And but I'm not going to be sitting in here in my shop every 3 nights, you know, of 1 pair of ski. I got over 22 damn pair of ski, you know, and it's a lot of damn work. So, yeah, the paste, no waste, make no haste. Get the paste, don't waste, and you leave me a comment on your experiences with this paste wax. If you got any questions, you know, leave them in that comment box down there below. I got a lot of crazy, silly videos. I got over 1,600 videos on my channel. So if you want to find a particular video, yeah, it's going to be kind of hard. You have to use the search box on my channel, the search box channel, and put in a word like tuning or waxing or something like this if you're interested in that. But I got all kinds of weird, silly videos for sure. So, and it's hard to find them if you don't know what you're looking for. So, all right, catch y'all a while ago. Get the paste. Don't waste. Do it with haste.